Hey everyone, think about this. In our super connected world, just about everything we do leaves some kind of digital footprint. But what happens when that footprint is at the center of a crime? Well, today we're jumping headfirst into the amazing world of digital forensics.
So it all boils down to this one question. When a computer, a phone, or a server is the crime scene, how on earth do investigators figure out what really happened? It's basically a modern detective story, and we're about to pull back the curtain on how they solve these cases.
Okay, so first things first, we have to understand where these digital detectives are even working. It's not a physical room with yellow tape. It's a massive, invisible landscape of data, where every single bit and byte could be the clue that cracks the case.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that every single move an investigator makes is guided by one core idea: forensic soundness. This just means that every step they take has to be careful, methodical, and repeatable, all to make sure the original evidence is perfectly preserved. It is the absolute golden rule.
So how do they actually do that? How do they guarantee that soundness? Well, it's not random. They follow a super clear 5-stage process. This is the official playbook for pretty much every digital investigation out there.
And this right here is our roadmap. From the second a crime is reported all the way to the final report, every single piece of digital evidence goes on this exact same journey. It starts with identification, then moves to collection, examination, analysis, and wraps up with presentation.
All right, stage 1, identification. This is all about the investigator getting the lay of the land. They're asking those classic detective questions: the who, what, where, when, why, and how, to build an initial idea of what they're up against.
Next up is collection. And you guys, this part is absolutely crucial. The #1 rule in digital forensics is you never work on the original evidence. Ever. Instead, you make a perfect bit-for-bit clone of it. This keeps the original crime scene completely untouched.
And now we get to the really cool part: examination and analysis. This is the real detective work. Investigators start digging through that clone, looking for clues. They're pulling up deleted files, finding hidden data, and slowly piecing together the timeline. This is where the story of what happened starts to emerge from all that raw data.
And finally, we have presentation. All of that detective work gets compiled into a final report. But this report has to be so clear, so objective, that a completely different expert could follow the exact same steps and get the exact same results. It has to be totally bulletproof.
But, just having a process isn't quite enough. The evidence itself has to play by some very strict rules for it to be considered valid in court. Let's take a look at what makes it all hold up legally.
So, at the very heart of all this is something called a hash. The best way to think of it is as a unique digital fingerprint for any file or piece of data. It's this long, unique code that's created from the data itself. And here's why that's so incredibly powerful. If you change one tiny little thing in a file, like changing the time from 10 a.m. to 10:01, the entire digital fingerprint changes completely. It's not even close. This is how investigators can prove, without a doubt, that their copy is identical to the original. And to back all of that up, they keep something called the chain of custody. This is basically a detailed diary that tracks the evidence's entire life. It shows who handled it, when they handled it, where it was, and why they accessed it. This log proves the evidence is secure from the moment it's collected to the moment it's shown in a courtroom.
Of course, this whole process isn't always a walk in the park. Our digital detective is up against some really serious challenges and some clever adversaries.
The first major challenge is a frantic race against the clock. This chart shows what's called the order of volatility. The most temporary evidence, like data sitting in a computer's active memory, or RAM, can literally disappear in nanoseconds if the power goes out. So investigators have to be smart and grab that super fragile data first before it vanishes into thin air.
And on top of that, criminals are actively trying to fight back using anti-forensics techniques. They use special tools to try and wipe their data permanently. They use encryption to lock it away. They even use this wild technique called steganography, where they can hide secret messages inside a totally normal-looking photo or song file.
So, with data that can disappear in a flash, and criminals trying to cover their tracks, what does our investigator have in their toolkit to fight back? Well, they have some seriously powerful software on their side. You've got tools like Autopsy, which is awesome for digging into file systems and building timelines of what happened.
Then you have the big industry workhorses like Ncase and FTK, which can handle the whole process from start to finish. And then there are incredible tools like Maltego that can actually draw you a map showing how a person, an email, and an IP address are all connected.
And since so many crimes today involve social media, investigators now use social network analysis. These tools help them map out relationships and literally watch how information, or maybe misinformation, spreads across platforms like Facebook and Twitter. They can follow that digital trail wherever it leads.
All of which kind of brings us to one last big idea. When you see how rigorous this process is and how powerful the tools are, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world that is built on data, can anything we do online ever truly be erased for good? It's definitely something to think about.